Hey Roblox viewers, welcome to the first episode of The Dark Side of Roblox. Today, we're gonna be deep diving into RoMob and how that is. So, my guest for today is somebody I've known for maybe a year. I think he's been in Roblox RoMob for a whole while now. He is someone a lot of the RoMobies know. And also, I'd say Dick Ride. He's loved by everybody, basically. Hated by some. Not sure how he is with Steel. No clue what is going on with that. He's Shinjit. Welcome, Shinjit.
Hey, what's going on? Thank you for having me on your show.
Pleasure's mine. I have a couple questions for you that I think a lot of non-RoMobbers are also thinking.
Yeah, let's hear it.
First of all, what's the difference between clanning and RoMob?
Yeah, so both both of these I guess genres in on the platform Roblox, they both have, a pretty tight structure, but clanning focuses more on the warfare aspect.
So would you say there's more roleplay in RoMob?
That really depends because I know there's certain clanning groups that do carry a lot of the roleplay aspect, but so does RoMob. Now, if we're gonna be speaking in regards to certain subgenres in RoMob, I would definitely have to say Yakuza goes further in role-playing aspect.
Yeah.
In
Go.
general, RoMob doesn't have a hardline structure of role-playing rather than the clanning community does. But like I said, this varies on which clanning groups you're in because I know there's certain clanning groups that follow like a Roman Empire structure, and you
Yeah.
have to abide by that. So what my answer to this question would be, it really varies. But RoMob, it used to be a lot of role play surrounded, but over the years, and I think especially after quarantine, maybe a year or two after quarantine, it kind of just lost any seniority it had, and there's minimal role play. It's
So you think it's more about just fighting now as well? So it's similar to clanning in a way.
Yeah, I would say so. I mean, it's not how it used to be, and it's kind of sad to see that. But you
Do you
know,
think it loses culture because of that?
most definitely. Uh,
It becomes more of a washed down version of what it was.
yeah, I mean, I think that's also why a lot of the original people in this community retired because it's a washed out community. There's no innovation or progression. At least I've seen within the past 4 years, 4 to 5
Yeah.
years. It's been the same thing.
Do you
So
think that's because when there is innovation and progression, it gets made fun of?
sorry, could you repeat that question?
Do you think that's because when there is innovation and progression, it gets made fun of because the community is used to what it's used to and doesn't want anything new?
Yeah, I would say so because I mean a lot of communities need innovation, and we can't be having what things were like, let's say 2020 to, we're pushing in 2025 now. And in my opinion, I think a lot of, at least operational wise, has remained the same, and to the contrary of that, I think the only innovation this community has would be, overall degeneracy. A lot of people don't really uphold values on how, I guess people used to uphold them.
So it's
And
more of a piss fight now.
yeah, it's disappointing to see, honestly. And I think a lot of people have lost interest in it because, there's no deliberate, unique aspect to it anymore. It's simply mafia role playing to the lowest degree.
Yeah, I think I joined RoMob at a I have a very little experience, first of all. I Maybe I joined 2022, no, 2023, around this near December. I came for a fucking few months, I left. So I'm not too sure. I know it was Yakuza, so I saw a lot of LARPing.
Yeah,
So I
2023.
think I'm, yeah, I
The
think
the
I'm a little biased in that sense.
Yeah, you joined in the worst year, man. That was a really bad year, 2023. Yeah.
Yeah, and especially the way stuff happened. It's just first of all, I joined it was Sano. I think you know Sano. I had no idea who he was, but he's the guy who got me in, right? So
Total crap.
honestly, what I realized is Sano was the only person I knew personally who hated you, but also loved you. It was weird. I think he had a crush on you at some point. You think
Nah, there's a
that
lot
might
of
be
people
true?
like that. There's a lot of people
Yeah.
like
So what do you think that was? Like, why do you think people were like that towards you, especially?
well, a lot of people there's just some people who idolize people and they simply won't be their idol, because I think you're your own person, You got to ride with
Yeah,
that. You got to make your own personality and your the way you carry yourself and a lot of people might not like you for reasons that, other people depicted you as. And,
sure.
a lot of people first met them, they didn't like me. They heard bad things about me. You know, that is what it is. But once they got to know me, man, we became good friends. And I think that's one thing about Roma that really sucks is because you can be really good friends with,
Yeah, yeah. At the
but
end of the day, you can all just be friends, but you don't get to know the people enough.
yeah, most definitely. Yeah. It's a one-sided show.
Yeah, I got you. How old were you when you joined RoMob?
I was 12.
You're 12. Do you think something about being 12 kind of attracted you to the idea of being powerful and dangerous in the mafia scene, or is that something that didn't appeal to you too much?
Would say so. I mean, hey, when you're 12, any kind of power is super appealing.
Yeah, so
Uh,
how do you think RoMob affected you as a 12-year-old?
you know, I'm gonna be very honest. When I was 12, I wasn't super deep into it. I had my own clan. It was like
Yeah,
at 8 or something. But I was more mature than like an average 12-year-old.
yeah, of
But I mean,
course.
of course, if you're 12, you're gonna have like immaturity. So it was still like that. And I was like gonna turn 13, I think, maybe 4 or 5 months after. So it wasn't that big of a gap. But in terms of how it changed me, I think it would be a trust factor because I did trust a lot of people, and over time, and I think maybe this is also just a life. This is like common life, but you kind of learn to trust people less and less and less, and be a little more cautious.
Yeah, yeah.
And
I
once,
definitely see that.
yeah,
I mean, the one of the first things that I got told was not to trust anybody when I was recruited.
you know, the one thing that sucks is sometimes you can't even trust your own mentor.
Yeah,
Personally, I
exactly.
never really had a mentor, so I had kind of had to, find my way through this myself.
Yeah, for sure. I
Mostly
think,
help you along the way, but
yeah, I think you grow through the people you meet. And even if they end up being bad people, it's the stuff you learn still stays with you, you know?
yeah, most definitely.
Just, yeah. Did you ever
The
feel
first
like joining? Oh, wait, no, continue.
No, I was just gonna say, I think every person you meet is a lesson. Every boss you have, maybe executive you have in your
Yeah,
organization, you
100%.
always learn something from them, and I've learned a lot.
Yeah, I agree with you, honestly. Did you ever feel like joining the scene was a way to escape something in your real life? Or were you just looking for chaos?
Nah, man, I was just bored, man.
You just
Didn't
bored?
really have much to do.
Fair
So I
enough.
was
But do you think that for a lot of people, it is escape from something?
I would say yeah. I mean, I had some members who kind of had a fucked up home situation, for some reason they found a lot of joy in this, and when you make your own organization, your own clan, you build your own community around it. And my clans were predominantly a positive community, like a brotherhood.
Yeah.
And that's like an aspect I always try to incorporate in my communities because it's Roblox at the end of the day, but we're all friends. We're all here to have a good time. So a lot of people, and some people I got close with, they kind of opened up, and they shared that these organizations of mine were a happy spot for them,
Yeah.
an
You
escape.
know, I feel like especially for a lot of young men nowadays, it's hard to find people in general, I think. A lot of people suffer from male loneliness, and it's something that isn't talked about very often. And even if it may seem silly, I think that might be a reason why people take it too seriously because at the end of the day, for some people, this might be all they have, you know? Maybe this little fun group that they organize is all they have in their real life. And that's why they take it so seriously and get so offended when someone down speaks on them, you know?
I would totally agree with you, man. I've seen it for myself, from other people. I think personally, I'm fortunate. I have great friends
Yeah,
in real life, a big friend group, and you know, uh, you could always be in someone else's shoes the next day. So you always got to be grateful for what you have, And I'm grateful for the groups I've led in the past. Met a lot of great people. Still keep in contact with them. Some of them I talk to on the daily on Snapchat or Instagram. Great people
yeah.
I've met.
Oh, it's honestly, it's surprising that something as small from the outside can mean so much to people.
Yeah, it's true. It's true. It really is.
So I think, moving away from that, I think the mafia scene in RoMob is built on power, loyalty, and betrayal. But how does someone rise to the top in that world? Like, what would it take for someone to be able to achieve that?
Right. So everything's very circumstantial, and I was in a position where, it was quite competitive. Um, there's always going to be, small organizations, and I'm going to be very honest with you right now. 80, maybe 90% of organizations, don't really succeed or surpass maybe like a 50, 60 member limit.
Yeah,
And, I think one of my first successful clans, truly successful clans, was Takizawa. It's Takizawa.
yeah,
I had that 2021, 2022. It was
for sure.
it was great. It was fun. Um, and personally, how I got to be known was because we were fighting Enomoto.
Hmm.
And when you kind of want to raise to the top of not only the power hierarchy, but the social hierarchy, you really have to make friends with people who are fighting for the same cause.
Yeah,
And on
allies.
top, propaganda. Now,
I think yeah, for sure.
everybody knows propaganda works. Me personally, a lot of our propaganda was produced through comps on YouTube.
Hmm.
And, a lot of people even just knew me from the comps. Some people didn't even know me through the clan. I would go to, at the time, it was Hillcrest. I was pretty active. And be like, hey, are you Shinjit? I was like, yeah. Like, I know you from your YouTube. I was like, oh, it's pretty cool.
Yeah,
And
yeah, for sure.
yeah, it's kind of cool, to see people like
A
they
sense of
watch.
pride. Yeah, you're like, damn, these people know me. You know.
Yeah, it's appreciated that people enjoy the content that was created at the time.
I mean, I
And
think even me myself, I remember just watching clips, comps, all that type of shit. You know, listening to the music. I was getting riled up myself. I was like, holy fuck, you know, this is this is good. You know, it's good shit. Fucking Enomoto comps, all types of fucking comps on everybody. I had
yeah,
no, I had no position. I was just looking at everybody's comps. I loved it all.
Yeah, I mean, it's really a way to, not only promote yourself and your organization, but I think at a point when people make so many comps, it even you're
It becomes
flowering that
culture.
seed. Yeah, you're flowering that seed in the community.
Yeah. It genuinely becomes culture. But I feel like it can come to a point where it strays from culture and community to just straight up toxicity, you know?
Yeah, I think I could agree with you. And a lot of my comps, they weren't they weren't really focused on toxicity. It was more of the success of the wars. I mean, I'm not sure if
Yeah.
you've seen videos, but it's purely just music. Maybe add some GFXs, and it's primarily the war in there. And of course, at times you gotta expose degeneracy when it gets to a point where it's
Yeah, for sure. For sure.
concerning membership safety.
I agree, but also I don't think anybody generally is in the right to dox somebody because at the end of the day, yeah, they could be the worst person in the world, but who are we to, expose this person and really just fuck their whole life over for, I don't think we are in the position to do that, you know? I don't think it just doesn't make too much sense to me.
Yeah, when it gets to the point where you're fighting people and you're just doxing them because you're fighting, that's kind of where I draw the line. But I think doxing is acceptable if you're doxing a pedophile.
I
Um,
do agree, but also there's like a certain line, where would I rather dox this person or just use the information to report them to the local police, you know?
yeah, and me personally, I've had to deal with that a few times, and
How do you
I
think that affects your
I
mental in general?
sorry, what'd you say?
How do you think that affects your mentality and just your brain in general? Do you think it makes you more like careless, or what do you think makes you
Dox
more?
or what?
Yeah, just doing stuff like that. Do you think it has a toll on you at all?
Well, I've only had to encounter that a few times.
Yeah,
Uh, in my opinion, I think how I kind of came over that is, I think it's justified if it's a pedophile. And not only, you know, I personally wouldn't deal with the doxing myself. I leave that to a different person, but I'll take up the liberty of working up a police report and
yeah.
with their police department.
Do you
And,
feel a sense of justice after that?
yeah, but at
Yeah,
the same
like I
time,
guess fuck it
you don't
down,
know,
you know?
you don't know what happens because they're not going to update you. The cops don't call you, hey,
That's true.
arrested them. Yeah, you don't know what happens to them. So at
You still
some
just
point,
want to make sure they're out of the community, you know?
yeah, you gotta shun people away because you gotta realize a lot of this community, they're minors. And
Yeah.
at the end of the day, it's for the safety of the
No, I
community.
agree. I feel like sometimes it's right to do that, I think. Because otherwise they're just gonna keep continuing, right? You have to make a way that they're not gonna come back because you fucked them up psychologically, you know? They're not
Yeah,
gonna come back after this.
yeah.
They just can't, yeah. Is it just all digital power trips and alliances, or did people genuinely feel like it's a lifestyle?
I think it's very circumstantial on your age and where you reside in your mental maturity because there's people that will take this like it's real life.
Yeah.
And they will prioritize this, over real life events. And, if you're 12 or 13, man, that's understandable. But, when you're
Yeah.
slightly older,
It's a little
uh,
disappointing, yeah.
a little different, yeah. And I think when I was 12 and 13, this was kind of the only thing I was really doing in my free time. Of course, I'd go with
Yeah.
friends, but also I just found it really fun. And the people that I was doing this with found it fun. and it
Yeah.
kind of spirals from there. But if I had advice to somebody, you really shouldn't take this shit serious because, you have to realize at the end of the day, 20, 30 years out of the line, probably gonna have like a wife, child. So
Yeah.
this isn't permanent. And, I kind of wish I told myself this before, but make a positive impact on everybody. Even if you're fighting people, find a way to make a positive impact
Yeah, because
because
you don't want to have those grudges, you know?
yeah, me personally, since I've retired, I really did drop those personal grudges I have on people. Um it's kind of just stupid, and I think it's a community thing where you just hold grudges on for years and years and years, but shit, it is what it is, and some people don't want to move from it. That's okay. You got to respect that, and you're not in the community anymore, so that's not really something you have to worry about.
Yeah. How real are the threats and rivalries in RoMob? Have you ever felt like someone was actually gunning for you?
As in to just take me down entirely.
Yeah, have you ever felt like, damn, these people are actually after me, not just my fucking Roblox character, you know?
Yeah, I mean, I've had some instances like that before, and you know what I like to say is just let it be. They're gonna
Yeah.
do what they're gonna do. You can't stop them. Just let it happen.
So it's a little like stoicism, just fucking whatever happens, happens if it's not in my control, you know?
I If it's meant to be, it's
Exactly.
yeah.
You know, in real life, Matthews, where like loyalty is super important. How does that like play out in Roblox? Do you think people break the code way easier for smaller reasons?
I would agree. I think a lot of people are very selfish here. Um,
Yeah.
at least the guys that I've had, you know, they're pretty loyal. And what you need to do is treat your members how you'd want to be treated. But don't forget, you still have authority over them, and you need to, remember you're an you're an
Yeah.
authoritarian figure. So you need to act like so, but you still need to give them the respect they deserve because they're human.
Yeah.
And when you combine both of those aspects, a lot of people grow respect and a loyalty to you.
What do you think is like the wildest backstab you see in a RoMob?
Wild backstab. So might have been 2 years ago now. Not too sure about the whole background, but I know they fixed their situation now. But Shinzo Watanabe, I guess, defected from Minamoto, and he completely just whacked the whole hierarchy out.
Holy shit, so Animato is just gone 2 years ago.
Yeah, well, this was also going on when they shut down for a bit because I know they're getting some heavy doxing done.
Oh, fuck.
They just wiped their whole group out, but I'm he did invalidate them. I know him and Bunta made
Uh,
up, but these are people that have been friends for years and years and years and years. So that's it's very deliberate there. Um, I've been quite fortunate that I haven't had any big, huge backstabbings to happen because,
so no conflicts like that. Yeah. Okay.
yeah, no, not really.
Damn. All right.
Yeah.
Fair enough. That's funny because the next question was, have you ever gone into a conflict that made you think this is way too intense? You know, way more intense than what it should be. No, that's fine. uh,
Um,
what do you think, ethical wise? How do you think that it plays out in Roblox? Do you think people are more tempted to just do whatever the fuck and not feel guilty, or do you think they think about the ethics,
nah, a lot of people
just don't care?
think on their anger. they don't really sit down and think if, a scenario is ethical, but simply on their emotions. And, you know, that's fine. I think that's how
Yeah.
a lot of people, I mean, in the real world do think, but I think honestly that would apply to the lower level leaders because a lot of them have a lot of bark,
But
but
no,
minimal.
but
Right.
yeah.
And people who are really prominent leaders, the reason why they're all the way up there is because they've strategically been thinking through their whole time in their career. And, you know, that's key. That's why you're where you are because you're thinking strategically. You don't want to waste manpower and you think things through because a lot of shit can shoot yourself right back in the face.
Yeah.
And those are a lot of variables that need to be thought through.
What do you think was like the biggest, like, holy shit, like, this is way too far, this is causing real life problems for people? Like, what do you think was the biggest event like that?
Yeah, sure. So I think spring of 2022. Was it 2022? 2023, spring of 2023.
Yeah.
I'm not gonna, mention names here, but there was a certain organization, they're on a big spree, man.
Was it a certain metal?
It was a certain organization. I'll say that. They're
Okay.
on a big dachshund spree, and
Was it maybe named after a metal, the organization?
might have been, might have been.
Yeah. Okay.
But, a lot of the community was tarnished,
Oh
and it was
shit.
really fortunate because a lot of key figures, got swatted and doxxed, and
Yeah. Do you think you
yeah,
regret joining?
part of me does,
You just think it's
because
a waste of time?
I still kind of like, I'm very mindful of what I post on social media
Yeah.
because of that,
Yeah, it's kind of fucked though, right? Because you join just for fun and your whole life becomes revolved around it. You can't
Right.
post certain things so you don't get fucking dogs, shit like that. It's crazy,
Yeah.
no?
So
You can't change your profile picture because everyone's gonna be, fucking. You can't put certain stuff in your bio.
yeah, it's a
It's
shame.
difficult.
It's a
Yeah.
shame.
What would you tell a 12-year-old who's looking to get into RoMob today? Would you say just don't?
At the current time, no. Go to World War II. Go to some other genre.
Some
But
clanning genre then.
I wouldn't even say clanning, man. There's doxing going on
Oh,
everywhere.
yeah, that's true. I think the
But
problem is there is some really good ones, but there's a lot of bad ones.
it's just the
Bad
point
people
where,
too.
you fuck with the wrong people or reach a certain hierarchy, you're bound to get
Yeah.
doxxed. There's people who just aren't gonna like you. And I think it's like that in a lot of communities where you reach a certain level, you're just
People
bound
are
to get.
gonna fuck you over either way.
Yeah.
I mean, we've seen tons of groups come and go, though. Do you think RoMob's gonna last, or is it just a phase that younger players grow off?
I personally don't see a future.
I think it's just a phase, and eventually there's gonna be like 5 people on it. Not gonna be anyone.
Yeah, I honestly think, and if people don't realize this community is at all-time low right now.
So you think there needs to be a change?
There needs to be.
I mean, at least we know Dylan's gonna stay either way, no?
Yeah.
He won't. Okay. I mean, what do you think the
But
change should be, though?
what I think is a lot of these new gen leaders really need to wake up and realize this is in their hands. What
Yeah.
this what community is what we call the thing of ours is in their hands. And we're at a very, vulnerable point where
Mm.
the community at least I personally don't see a future within the next 5 years. I really don't. And
So
I
you
think,
think all the drama is just gonna die down, it's gonna disappear eventually.
yeah, because this community revolves around drama right now. It doesn't revolve around operations, it revolves around drama.
I think the problem is if you give a utopia to people, they're gonna cause chaos because people aren't meant for utopia. They're meant for problem solving. So there needs to be a problem to solve, you know. And I feel like more and more there's just increasingly there's no problem, so they create their own problems. But then it's
Yeah,
too problematic, you know.
the thing is, a lot of people complain, man, this community is so dead. There's no social aspect. It's not how it used to be. It's because people aren't putting in the time to fix
Yeah.
issues. One great start, be social clubs, bringing back RoMob social clubs. That was a big
I
part of
think
it.
the problem is everyone's too scared of getting whacked. They don't want to go to any club.
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of schizophrenia.
There genuinely is. It could be wax invalid, and they're gonna be like, "Why is the L capital, bro? You're trying to whack me."
Yeah, and then also some people just don't support oppositions, so then they just won't go to the club. So that's what it is. Also,
So you
is this?
think to make this a better community, you just have to bring in back the culture and the roleplay aspect of it, right?
Yeah, it needs to be community ridden because back then, people wouldn't really, boycott an opposition's club.
Yeah. And now you think everyone's against each other so much to the point where they don't want to speak to each other.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. I think that's it. It's great
Okay.
speaking to you.
Yeah, nice speaking to you. It's been a minute.
Yeah, thanks a lot, bro.
All right, have a good one.
All right, bye bye.